She was the original blonde bombshell, the ultimate sex symbol, and one of Hollywood's most idolised stars. But despite her iconic status around the world, few people got to know the real Marilyn Monroe.
Well, our next guest, however, can make that claim, having called Marilyn one of her closest friends during the height of her fame. Amy Green and her son Joshua joined us from Hollywood. Great to have you both on the show. Amy, to you first. You met Marilyn through your photographer husband Milton back in 1953. You became very close. She even lived with you for a number of years. Can we ask you what she was like in real life?
Well, let's say that she was never a victim, okay? She was a vital young woman who was ready to see and taste the world. And we met, as a matter of fact, it's a cute story, we met at Gene Kelly's house. Oh. Gene Kelly always played charades on Saturday night. And I happened to be a great charade player, so I was always on his team. So Milton brought Marilyn, and Milton never played. And the two of them sat in the next room, and we were all making fools of ourselves in the living room.
They're shy. They like to watch.
Yeah, right. Two of them are so, oh, look at that, look at that. So then, when that game was over, I went to her, and hello, how are you? Nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. And I said, come on, why don't you join us and play? And she said, oh, I couldn't do that in a million years. No. I'd love to see what you're doing. I said, we're making total fools of ourselves, you know.
And Gene Kelly and you were very good at making fools of yourself.
Yeah, Gene Kelly and I adored
Which is the key
to
charades.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And he was really...
You know, it's interesting. I mean, very few of us, in fact, none of us can say that Marilyn Monroe was our babysitter, but Joshua, she actually looked after you during the time she lived with your family. What are some of your memories of her?
Well, let's keep in mind, I didn't know I was with Marilyn Monroe. I just knew I was with a woman that was trusted by my family who was taking care of me when they went to a dinner party or went to the movies. All that said, she had her own room in the house, and she did live with us for over a year and a half. And, I mean, there was a banister railing, and I would slide down the banister railing and then do a ricochet pool shot off the wall in the hallway. And then I would jump into the bed, which was 2 steps down, so you gave the sensation that you were flying through the air. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you're 2.5 years old, trust me, being Superman is key. So you fly in the air, you land in the bed, and then, of course, she tickles you until you laugh and then puts pillows in your face. And then I'd get up and do it again just for the same attention, like a trained dog, and it was great. So it was fond memories of that, and there's...
Let me interject. He was 2 years old when all this was going on.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
She had such an incredible persona in front of the camera. It's often been documented that things weren't so perfect for her off camera. And Amy, I was curious about whether she confided about the strain of her life in the spotlight with you.
She had no strain when she was with us. She was totally taken care of. She was cocooned and... protected. And everything was coming up roses. I mean, there was Milton and Jay Cantor and Lou Wasserman were fighting Darryl Zanuck at 20th Century Fox. So that's that year of...
54 to 55.
54 to 55, right.
What was happening is that you realize Milton got to know her and offered her a chance to leave Hollywood and and fight this contract, which they used to call slave contracts, literally.
Right.
Where the studio would control everything you do in your career. And basically, she was very unhappy with that, and she wanted to move on and be responsible for a career, do the kind of character acting lessons that she later started doing at the Strasberg studio. And she wanted to have her own path, and control her own path. Milton promised her that was what he would do for her.
And he did.
And on the other hand, they discussed creating a production company together.
All right.
Because that gave him an insight to become a director and producer, which is something he wanted to do.
Yeah.
So
well, Joshua,
that was sort of
your father, he worked with Marilyn during the height of her fame in the 50s, as you've mentioned, but he captured thousands of never-before-seen photos, which you're now showcasing in your new book, The Essential Marilyn Monroe. So tell us about that.
Marilyn basically, Milton's pictures and their collaboration together was an exercise. Not all of them were done under assignment. Very few really were under assignment. As he started working with her, he wanted to explore her range. And
also experiment.
An experiment, right. Yeah. And so there's all kinds of situations that they would set up together. They were complete fantasy, but sometimes it was just natural stuff in the studio with a terry cloth robe or a sweater, more fashion-driven. But then there are pictures where they actually went on location on the back lots of 20th and dressed up as a character like a hooker, as a gypsy.
On Sunday afternoons.
On Sunday afternoons. And of course, people love to claim the ballerina as a setup, but it really was a situation where the dress didn't fit.
My fault.
Yeah. Anyway, but the idea was that this range of pictures that they created together gave Marilyn a better sense of herself and gave Milton a better sense of how she looks and how the lighting affected her, because his role was really to be her aesthetic director. How she was lit, how the makeup was done, how the lighting was done, and the movies of Bus Stop and Prince and the Showgirl were completely negotiated with him, the director, and the cameraman.
Right.
Wow.
To her benefit.
We love this. We love you too. Thank you so much for coming on the show, both of you. What a fabulous insight. The essential Marilyn Monroe. Great idea for Christmas. Maybe Sonia might put it under her tree this year. For a copy of it, head to booktopia.com. Joshua and Amy, you're just all class. Thank you both so much for joining us.
Let me add one thing. The book has many of the favorites, but there's 174 pictures that have never seen the light of day until the book.
A true collector's edition.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
and thank you for your time. Merry Christmas to you.